Dear friends, lately I have been wondering about music. I'm always wondering about music, and as I age in this world, I start to wonder about it even more. And, I've made a video before. Recently, mostly what I've been doing is I've been reading books. This is a book by an author, Nick Tosh. I think that's how it's pronounced. Um, he's a good author, and he's interesting for me because he kind of takes the same angle that I always took, where he's involved with music and he's aware of music, but he's also very much aware of the written word. And for me, this dynamic between I'll put the camera down; it's easier. Between the written word and music, and then visual is these are three different dynamics, and basically, I guess that's all the world offers us in terms of the arts. They offer us the visual, they offer us the audio, and then they offer us the text. I mean, I guess you can feel things, but I don't know, is that considered art, right? I don't know if that's considered art. So creativity seems to be within these three realms, unless I'm forgetting one, it's possible. Three realms. Remember again, audio, visual, and then text. And what I came to find, and I might have said this before, but you see, prior to the rise of the radio generation, which happened in the 1920s, most people just read. The great artists of the world communicated through the written word. And this was both good and bad for a number of reasons. The reason it was really good was because I think everything is far more clearer when one reads it. For instance, if I were to, I don't understand the audiobook phenomenon, but if I were to watch the Nick Tosh book as a film, I would get it, but I'd get a different version of it. This is a common complaint that people have. Oh, the book was better than the movie. And yet, this whole generation revolves around audio and visual. Because apparently, as I read through the history of the entire world, but mostly the whole world, according to America, was just the 20th century. Because before the 20th century, America was kind of like, not really a big of a deal. But then in the 20th century, it became a big deal. So all of a sudden, the whole world revolved around America, and America revolves all around. If you look at American history, the one thing that's going to snap out to you, it just snaps out, is that everything goes back to audio and visual with America. When you really think about it, what did America bring us? It brought us the radio. The radio really came to prominence in America in the 20s. And then it brought us the visual. So America, the empire to me of America, is all about audio and visual, and I think it kind of chucked literature out of the way. So for an artist now, it can be very difficult, in a sense, to know where to land. That's been a big problem for me. I've never known where to land. It's like, well, I want to communicate with people. That's the main point of art, is to communicate with people. And I'm communicating with you now, but how much am I really able to say through a video where I have to talk? See, when you're writing, it's all so much more clearer, but no one reads. No one reads. Nobody. One could say the important people read, but where are the important people? Who are the important people? Do the important people even fucking exist? And would the important people read when an asshole like me is writing? I would hope they would. I want them to. But at the end of the day, one has to sit back and ask themselves, I'm a fucking asshole. And the important people, them being the wealthy ones in this world, they're even bigger fucking assholes. So, if seeming they're big assholes, and I'm a fucking little asshole, I don't think the big asshole's ever gonna hear what the little asshole has to say. I'm just putting this in very simplistic terms, but it seems to be the way to me. So, and that's the whole thing. It is baffling country. I think it's why this country's so fucking confused. I do think, to a certain degree, that audio and visual is very distracting. I think that great philosophy can't be transferred and cannot even be translated through the audio and visual. Now, one might say, well, a painting, in the Renaissance, paintings were of the utmost importance, and as was a sculpture. However, there is a difference between and those are two visual forms. Now, often I've contemplated this, says I to myself. Well, the world always kind of revolved around the visual. I mean, the Egyptians were obsessed with fucking pyramids, and the Romans were obsessed with the sculptures, and then the Italians and them warps and all of them, well, they whipped out the sculptures from Rome and Greece at the same time as they whipped out the paintings, and all them people became famous for the paintings, and there was a culture obsessed with paintings, and nobody back then wrote novels. You know, back then, writers, the great writers of the world, they wrote essays, and they wrote treatises, and they wrote philosophical texts, which are very difficult and hard to comprehend, and people go to... In America, only very rich people study that shit at really rich people's schools, and they're cut off from the rest of us, and we fucking hate those people, right? Because they're cut off from the rest of us, and they're fucking all of us. Right? That's what everyone says. They're fucking all of us. They set up huge gates, and they're fucking everybody. So then what happened was we started to dislike that. Because we said, well, they've cut themselves off from us, so fuck them, and fuck their difficult essays, and fuck those difficult texts that they've written. Because they have fucked us. They have left us out. They have left us out, so fuck them. So we started to come to conclusions and explanations and solutions. And one of the solutions we came to was that, the audio and the visual must be better. And the Italians and the Wops kind of thought this with the paintings. But I started to think to myself, paintings were different. Because paintings were contemplative. When one studies a painting, one sits back and stares. And disappears into a sort of trance. There's no sound. What we did here in the States, in Hollywood, and even what I'm doing now, is audio and visual at once. A bombardment of audio and visual. And with songs, I find that it's even particularly crazy. Because let's step back. Let's pull back the covers and step back in the centuries. And let's look and examine and analyze. Let's get analytical. And let's say to ourselves, when we look at the great composers of the times past, of years of yore, what we notice is that someone like Beethoven, someone like Bach, all these people seem to have never included the voice in their songs. In fact, we don't even call those fucking things songs. Songs, when one speaks of Beethoven, when one speaks of Bach, when one speaks of Mozart, songs, the term songs, almost seems rude, doesn't it? Seems rude. Because they're sonatas, they are compositions, they are whatever the fuck else those people call those things. But then we combine all of this at once, and what I truthfully, really truthfully find, is that a lot of these modern forms, it has just gone overboard. I'm sorry. But my consensus and my analyzation of 21st century music is that it's confusing as dog shit. It is. It's too loud. It's too fast. It's too annoying. And it's become too distracting. That is my opinion. This generation needs to slow down. I'm sorry, I hate to say it. I think if we don't slow down that we are going to explode. Even I right now, I say to myself, no, you're moving too fast. Slow down. Right. Be contemplative. Look behind you. Look behind. To years of yore. Perhaps there is waiting more. I'm sorry. It was all improvisation.